you get the Voyager situation, right? And I was just laughing, ha ha ha, how dumb are they that they think I'm gonna fall for this shit, right? And then there was something that I just saw after making the last video that I realized because I was still laughing now seeing it. I was like, oh my God, really? But in my head, I'm trying to figure out, like, how could the 70s be this mad? And I'm like, wait, dumbass, the same problem I have here, they had then. This is an intelligent SOS. This guy's literally like, hey guys, we're gonna send out this machine, right? And I'm gonna skim every atmosphere along the way because we don't use those to slow down. And then I'm gonna do this thing called the slingshot. Guys, come on, pick up on it. You can't let go of gravity. You can't just swing and let go of gravity. Come on, please, someone, please. That breaks conservation of energy. Hey guys, everyone should know about conservation of angular momentum. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna go straight up or straight down. Looking at the trajectory, knowing orbital mechanics, having the book there, I couldn't, if I really intelligently tried to make less sense, I couldn't do so. It makes less sense. Like if you gave a child a crayon and you're like, draw your way out of the atmosphere, draw your way out. There's no way they could have done a better job to show you how insane, like there's no way that did not happen. Take a look at this Earth from space, from the moon, and it's dark as hell. You see Earth, the shadow, all this darkness, like they just painted the background with a crayon. But if you look at space from Mars, from the Perseverance, it's lit up, right? Because less atmosphere in the way. Yet somehow they go, oh, wow, shutter this, shutter that, exposure, it's so bright you can't see nothing else. Look at the blue dot photo, right? See Earth, this is us way out here in the darkness by ourselves. And then I'm here standing on the ground on Earth with my eyes, and I'm looking at Venus, I'm looking at every single planet that looks brighter than every star, bright as hell. Yet somehow in that blue dot photo, all it is us, right? Where's the rest of the stars? Where's the rest of everything? You're looking at Venus now, right? And I'm like, how the hell could Venus be 460 degrees Celsius and be bright as shit? And they're like, oh, well, it's closer, so it's reflecting more light, that's why. And 460 degrees because it's got this thing called greenhouse gases. I'm like, greenhouse gases? Gases that turn into a glass structure above themselves. A greenhouse, if you were to take the glass that was there and you were to take it off, it would no longer work. A greenhouse works because the sun rays make their way in, right, through the glass, and as they heat the air and the ground and the other particles, that would increase the pressure. There's no pressure, so as the pressure increases, that also increases the temperature, but there's nowhere for the air to move. If you were to remove the glass from the greenhouse, all of the hot air, due to buoyancy effect, would just leave. You look at heat transfer of radiation, temperature to the fourth. You realize right away, it's like, how could we get too warm? How could we, and at this point, I can't say too much without this video getting cut, but how could we get hotter, right? With temperature to the fourth. You look at the ocean, tides, you're thinking to yourself, the moon. The moon is somehow reaching past the atmosphere, grabbing up what is like 1,000 kilograms a cubic meter. Yet, and it's incompressible. Yet all this atmosphere in between the moon and the Earth is there to be grabbed, right? What is the mass there? It's 1.25 kilograms a cubic meter at sea level. And as you go higher, it's less and less dense, and it's compressible, which means if we have tides at this level, how far does our atmosphere really go? Is it really this nice little hugged bubble that we think? Does this make more sense now why we stopped going back into space and why we just pay Russia, the people we literally hate? We hate them, and we were spending tons of money to use their antiquated, older than my mom technology to get us to the ISS, because it's a lot harder to keep people quiet. You saw that interview with Neil where he looked like he just saw the end of the world and he can't say anything. You look up at the moon and you imagine to yourself, it's really white, right? And you think to yourself, like a full moon, right? Like somehow rays from the sun behind me are coming around the Earth, hitting the moon and reflecting full. Somehow the moon is like whiter than the sun, right? And we know that the sun, the color of it, will change throughout the day depending on how much atmosphere the light has to go through. The moon is always white. Think to yourself, white is more than one color. That's why it looks white. It's not like it's just white. So if the sun is yellow and the moon is white, that means that there's more color coming from the moon than is coming from the sun. Think to yourself, looking at the moon, what if the moon right, had a lot more colors coming from it. We know that if you just do the calculations that I told you based on the tides, you know our atmosphere, we're sharing an atmosphere with the moon. That's not even a joke. So now we're sharing an atmosphere with the moon. The moon collided into the Earth. If you look at my moon, how we got here, you can consider that we might be sharing an atmosphere with the moon. And if we are sharing an atmosphere with the moon, then that would make maybe a little bit more sense as to like, what's the connection between, our circadian rhythm and the day and night cycle? What's the connection between, that the cycle of the moon and women's menstrual cycle? You start thinking about how these things may connect a little bit more. You start doing chemistry, and the things you realize will scare the shit out of you, because our reality is hidden, and speaking too much on it will get you you will be removed from society. They'll hit you with the tinfoil hat ray gun, and if you continue, well, then that's where you end.